Hey guys, Trey Bradley here. 3 words that changed my life in so many ways, and these are those 3 words. What's stopping you? What's stopping you? It was a complete perspective shift for me, and those words were said to me by a good friend as we were having breakfast together. This has been several years ago. I was at a very confusing time in my life as far as God's will and what God was leading me to do. Long story short, we were helping with a church plant at the time. We'd stepped away from a full-time church position, and we were helping with a church plant. We'd been there. God was doing great things. He just wasn't opening the doors for me to be able to go full-time. So I was working a secular job at the time in a warehouse, a job that I did not like, a job that I knew I wasn't supposed to be there long-term, but God was not opening the doors for me to go full-time with the church plant. At the same time, I also felt led to do more preaching, and my heart's desire was to preach the gospel. I've always known that God's called me to preach. He wasn't opening doors for that. If anything, I felt like I was being muted by God. I felt like people around me were purposefully not giving me opportunities. I know a lot of that was insecurity, and a lot of that was just the enemy trying to get in my ear. But the point is I felt like God had put me on the sidelines, but yet around me it seemed that He was opening doors for all these other people. And I felt like, God, have I sinned? Have I done something wrong? Have you put me on the sidelines? And I was frustrated, so I contacted a friend of mine, and I said, hey man, can we just get together, have breakfast? And so this is a guy I've known a long time. We got together at Cracker Barrel, we had breakfast, and I just sort of vented all this frustration. I was like, I felt like God's put me on the sidelines. I felt like, I'm working a job I don't like, and ministry-wise, I'm just not getting any opportunities to do things that I know I'm called to do. And this is just what he asked me. He just kindly said, well, Trey, tell me, what do you feel like God is calling you to do? What do you feel like God has equipped you to do and called you to do? And I was like, man, I feel called to preach the gospel. I want to preach. I feel like God has gifted me and anointed me to open the scriptures and given me the gift to explain it in a way where people understand. As I pray you don't hear this in a bragging way or anything. I mean, really, I'm humbled by that. But I know that God's given me that, and God's given me a passion. Like I have this fire within me, and I want to be able to communicate this and be able to get this out. I want to preach. And I said, I want to disciple people. I want young guys to know there's hope in Christ. I want guys that are struggling with addictions to know that God can free them of those addictions. So I want to take young guys and just pull them under my wing and say, guys, I want to pour into you. I said, these are things I want to do. And I'm like, why is God shutting doors to keep me from doing that? And he just he looked at me for just a few seconds, and he said, well, Trey, let me ask you that question. He said, what is stopping you from doing those things now? And I just got quiet, and he said, do you have to have a title to do those things? Do you have to actually have a church position on a staff to be able to do those things? Do you have to be on a stage with a microphone to preach the gospel? He said, what's stopping God from doing those things right where you are right now, in the warehouse? What's stopping you from mentoring and discipling and pouring into the guys that you work with right now? What's stopping you from doing the things in your own neighborhood? And I did not have an answer for him. I said, you know what? I said, nothing's stopping me. Nothing whatsoever. In fact, I'm in a position now where I can share the gospel with guys that probably would not hear it otherwise. And that was a complete perspective shift for me. I've never looked at it the same since. Your calling is where you are. God's will for you is where you are today. And that is what has lit this fire within me, of the idea of it's where you are, where you are, where you are. And it took 3 words. What's stopping you? So what's stopping you? What's stopping you from pouring into your children? What's stopping you from pouring into your coworkers? What's stopping you from pouring into your neighbors? What's stopping you from pouring into your classmates or the people on your sports team? And I just want you to ask that question. I want you to answer that question, and I believe it will change your life. You guys have a great day, and let's go share the gospel where we are.